4 ways to practice intonation from easiest to hardest. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I'm Megan. I'm a violinist and teacher currently based in New Jersey. I've been playing the violin for over 20 years. I have both my bachelor's and master's degrees in violin performance, and I'm a Suzuki-trained teacher. If you're enjoying my videos, please subscribe to my channel and check out my online violin academy, which is always linked in the description. Intonation is a lifelong journey. It's something that I still work on, and it is something that is always evolving and improving. So it's totally normal to struggle with it. Intonation refers to the pitch of your notes. So where you place your fingers refers to your intonation. Before we get into the 4 ways to practice intonation, one of the best things that you can do that does not involve practice is to listen. Listen to your piece often. Listen to other classical music. This helps prime your ear and help you know what notes are in tune and out of tune. Because let me tell you, there is such a fine line between in tune and out of tune, especially on the violin where our notes are so close together. So the more you listen, the more you train the ear, the more easily you'll be able to identify when you are just so very slightly out of tune, and then be able to fix it. The first and easiest way to practice intonation is to practice with a tuner. There are several free tuner apps out there. I personally don't like to use my phone during practice because I'm gonna get distracted, but I will link the tuner metronome combo that I have below. But essentially, when you practice with a tuner, you will see 3 lights. You want that middle light, the green light, to turn on when you play your note. Also, many tuners will tell you the note name in the corner there. So that's really great for beginners because sometimes we're not even sure if we're playing the right notes. Let's just be honest, right? So your tuner will tell you if you are playing the right note. If this lights up, that means that your note is too low, and if this red light lights up, that means your note is too high. So you play your note, you look at the tuner. If you're right on green, you're in tune. You can move on to the next note. If you're on one of these 2 lights, then you just adjust your finger accordingly. The second way to practice intonation is to check with your open strings. So this is slightly harder than practicing with a tuner because it does require a little bit of ear training. However, you just need to be familiar with octaves or notes that sound the same. So anytime you play an A, E, D, or G, you'll check with that corresponding open string. So take, for example, beginning of the site's G major 3rd movement. I can check my D, and then I can check my G. So like I said, it does require a bit of ear training because those notes obviously aren't the exact same. They're not in the same octave, but they are the same note. So practicing or checking with your open strings is practice technique number 2. Practice technique number 3 is listening for the natural ring or resonance of your instrument. So this happens most often, again, on our notes that correspond with open strings, so G, D, A, and E, but those notes will really ring and resonate more than others. So play 3rd finger on the D string or the note G. Do you hear how my note keeps going even after I stop playing it? That's ring, that's resonance, that's what you want to listen for. That's the violin's way of telling you, hey, that note was exactly in tune. This does require a little bit more ear training because I know that the ring isn't always obvious. And it also depends on your violin. Some violins just spring more than others. Another note about this is that you don't have to lift your bow in order to hear that ring. You can still hear my note ringing, even though my bow stays on the string. And the 4th and final way, probably the most difficult way, but also super effective, is practicing with a drone. I'll go over this briefly, but I'll also link a video explaining this tactic more in depth. So to practice with a drone, you are going to make your tuner play out the the tonic of the passage you're playing. So for this example, let's just use an A major scale. So I'll make my tuner play an A, and then I'll tune all of my notes to that A. this practice technique, you're essentially listening for intervals. So that's why it's number 4. It is the most difficult, does require some ear training and some practice, but it's also super effective. My favorite thing about practicing with the drone is that it works even when you feel like it's not working. So I'll play with the drone for maybe like 5 or 10 minutes, and then my intonation just seems to magically improve. But I think it's really because you're really hearing that tonic in your head, and you again are hearing those intervals that correspond with the tonic. So those are 4 ways to practice your intonation. Practicing with the tuner, checking with the open strings, listening for the natural ring or resonance of your violin, and practicing with the drone. These are not the only ways to practice intonation, but they are some of the best. If you have a different way of practicing intonation that you find super effective, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear. Please subscribe before you go, and thank you for watching.